Welcome back everybody, or if you're new here, welcome for the first time to my playthrough of Mega Man 03. 03 is easily my favorite of the Zero quadrilogy? Is that even a word? Huh. Anyways, it's my favorite simply because of all the cool movement options you have in this game, thanks to the beautiful new recoil rod. Because every Zero game has to give us some new type of rod, am I right? Just like my previous videos, we'll be doing this Damageless and going for that beautiful 100%. So, what do we need for that 100%, you may be asking? Well, I'm glad you did, because first, things are going to be a bit different than the last two games. First off, as always, we need all achievements. Can you guess how many we need to pick up this time around? If you guess 5 like the previous two games, well, you're actually incorrect. 03 actually has 6 achievements this time around. Second thing, of course, as per usual, is all items, and in 03 there are no cyber elves to collect. Instead, we got, these things. Ignore how blurry it is, I couldn't find a clearer picture. Anyways, we got 180 of these bad boys. At least they're more useful, as we can actually use cyber elves that come from them this time around. And just look at how many we can choose from. Capcom also went ahead and quintupled our amount of chips in this game, and this new parts system, in my opinion, is actually one of the big reasons that makes 03 so cool. But that's about it for collectibles this time around, since like in 02, we'll get our weapons right after the prologue. So, without further ado, I hope you enjoy Mega Man 03. We start off with a bit of a recap into what's been happening in the last couple of Zero games, but we don't need to go through all that. Though hey, if you want to know more, then you should check out these two videos. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, it's been 2 months since the last game, and we recap with our boy Zero in the frozen wastes of Neo Arcadia. This little lady has finished her new sustainable energy source and wants to share it. And yes, before anyone says anything, no, she's not 12. I get it. CL says she's tried to contact the Neo-Arcadians to give them the new energy source, dubbed the CL system. They left my girl on red and didn't reply, which is a bit messed up. As CL and the soldiers are talking, Zero tells them to put a lid on it, and
Man, shut your bitch ass up, nigga. Nobody asked you that a bitch ass thing. You better shut the fuck up before I knock your fucking head off your shoulders.
Zero, it's okay. Breathe. Eventually, we come face to face with a big ass ship sitting out here. And if you know anything about the lore of the series, you know exactly who it belongs to. But if you don't, well, just sit there for a second. Zero says he's gonna go and scout ahead while the others chill here and stay safe. And we get our first taste of gameplay. First things first, however,
I'm gonna do what's called a pro gamer move.
Change over my Z-Saber to the main hand slot and switch up my controls. Now, 03 is gonna feel very familiar for a little bit because we don't have any new parts or abilities or our new weapons. So prepare for charge slashes and standard movement for a bit, but trust me, it'll pick up. For now, we have 10 of these new collectible discs to grab. There's going to be 10 of these bad boys in every single stage, if my memory serves me correctly. Once we finally get closer to our objective, surprise! CL and company gets ambushed. And surprise number 2, it's our good buddy Harpuya. Okay, good buddy might be a stretch at the moment, but he's here. He says something along the lines of, alright Zero, we're not gonna hurt y'all, but...
You need to leave!
And then just dips. And Zero's left standing here like, fuck that. CL lets us know that she's alright. Zero starts hearing spooky voices from the past, and we head inside against Harpuya's warnings. Well, since nothing remarkable is going on right now, how about you just count the discs with me and pretend I don't already have a counter at the top of the screen. Now I'm sure you can already tell that these discs aren't much different than Cyber Elves, except now we can find them scattered over stages, in these little crates, or from enemies, so we have tons of places to look. You may see me farming enemies from time to time, not only for rank requirements, but also just to get discs as enemy drops. After our little disc hunt, we get to the boss door, only to see our lovely guardians getting their asses handed to them. Thoroughly. Zero runs in like the hero he is, ready to fight this thing, and Leviathan takes that as her cue to get the hell out of Dodge. Fafnir gives us some space, and we commence our first boss fight. Like I said, nothing special, nothing fancy quite yet, but we can combo our charge shots or our lemons into a charge slash for a bit of extra damage. Eventually, with enough of those, Big Boy goes down. And like my anxiety, he's back. Well, shooting it didn't work, and slashing didn't work. Well, I'm out of ideas. At least until Harpooya comes to our rescue and shocks the big bitch. We learn that this big guy is Omega, and shortly after, this sickly old man shows up. Remember the last game? Wrong video. Ignore that. X-Lore dumps on us a bit, telling us about Dr. Weil and how the Dark Elf used to have a mission to save the world before he corrupted her. But like I said, story for the sequel. Yeah, this is Dr. Weil. Not to be confused with this Weil, who is Vava in the Japanese version. Now, I know a lot of English speakers call him Dr. Weil, but I'll stick to the Japanese script for this one. I just think it sounds better. X shows up, or should I say Copy X shows up, and he's like, I lived, bitch! He does have a little bit of a, how should I put it, minor defect now, where he glitches out and stutters his words quite a bit. Dr. Weil, acting all high and mighty after his little stint in exile, is like, I brought X back to life! And we can already tell where this is going. X argues that even though Dr. Weil was responsible for the biggest war in Mega Man history and the sacrifice of billions, that it's totally 100% safe to bring him back into Neo Arcadia. Sure, he wiped out like 90% of Reploids and 60% of humans, but who cares? Obviously, we can tell, even comparing the old Copy X to this one, this guy has a few screws loose. He's like, hey, you guys looking for the Dark Elf too? I'll race ya. Copy X dips, and Dr. Weil says, let's see how far you can make it with that body, leaving us with quite a bit of foreshadowing. We make our way back to home base, concluding the intro stage and our first S rank of the day. When we get back to HQ, we discuss our next move, getting to the Dark Elf before Neo Arcadia. But for us as the player, our first task is to head to the lab to see Servo for all our new gear. So I briefly mentioned it earlier, but Servo gives us this nifty new weapon here called the Recoil Rod. And let me tell you, this thing is going to take our movement up to 11. This thing will let us bounce extra high off the ground and even enemies. Not to mention the different chips we'll be getting, allowing us to double jump and whatnot. He also tells us we can analyze all those discs we're collecting, but for now, let's not worry too much about that. Finally, like the other Zero games, we get our first 4 stages. Alright, let's butcher us some boss names. We got Blazing Flizard, who is going to give us an achievement. Childre, Inarabitta. Huh. I wonder if that's got anything to do with the white hair of Inaba. As a Persona fan, I have no idea how I didn't even notice that. Devilbat Schilt, which I'm gonna be honest, I thought his name was Schlitt for the longest time. And finally, Deathtanz Mantisk, who has one of my favorite stage themes in any Mega Man game. Honestly, the Gentle Judges are some of my favorite bosses in the series. I just love their designs. I'm gonna go ahead and do Devilbat first because his stage is the most closed in and boring, so we may as well get it out of the way. His boss fight won't be very entertaining either because blood loves to fly, but we make do. We make our way through here, collecting discs, becoming Zero the Rat Exterminator, you know, Mega Man stuff. There's some neat little disc locations here where we have to punch these hammers to break the ceiling, but other than that, it's really just not much to talk about. Eventually, we make it to the mini-boss of the stage, which isn't too hard. We could have gotten 2 charge slashes here if we flicked Zero left and right in the middle of his charge slash animation, but I don't make a huge use of that little maneuver till 0-4. Once the boss is done, I do end up taking the rest of the stage a bit slower than I probably needed to, but you know, that's just how it goes. All I got y'all here though, if you want to see these fancy 0-3 bosses without any cuts, then feel free to check out the 0-3 Damageless VOD that I uploaded alongside this one. I swap back to the Buster Shot here, which, looking back, the Recoil Rod might have been better since we could attack diagonally, but nah, it's fine. This Gentle Judge informs us that they're part of Weil's numbers now, which means, yeah, what else did you expect? He transforms into combat mode, which, honestly, I'm unsure if they were built like this or if Weil modified them to fight after coming back, but regardless, it's a pretty neat transformation. And as mentioned before, this one will be a bit boring. On the refights, we can probably get some cool combos going, but in general, these early fights won't do much for you. Down you go, Mr. Dark Necrobat Retrain. Now, we get a few things here after beating Schilt. We get the Saber Smash and the Thunder Chip. And when these two things are combined, they give Zero a cool little AoE that goes across the ground. For now though, I mentioned previously that we can use Cyber Elves in this playthrough, and to a certain extent that is true. We can use any Satellite Cyber Elves without ever having to worry about losing rank points, but you still can't use the Fusion Cyber Elves, so It'd be like that. After 2 games of not having elves, I'll gladly take it. Once we transfer back, we're going to go ahead and equip our new stuff. And on top of that, we have a Cyberoff we're going to toss on. While this little guy Berate isn't going to help out too much right now, he will come in handy later. Basically, if we end up falling in a pit, he'll drag us out. For now though, we're going to take on the next stage, and I'm going for Flizard next. Now we can really start becoming a show-off, because the movement in this stage is pretty cool. We can make some of the best use out of our recoil rod here, and on top of that, we can take out enemies pretty stylishly with the jump slashes from the Z-Saber on these basic Pantheons. We have to make some big jumps here if we want to collect some of the discs, and I was getting in the groove here and decided to make some not-so-safe jumps just to make things go faster and show off a bit more. We make just a few small pit stops to grab a few more discs and also set up this minecart? I think it's a minecart. Anyways, it'll be important later. Eventually, we reach the mini-boss room, which will slow us down to a halt as we stab the air for a bit with our recoil rod. Once that's done though, we can go back to being fast. I should also mention these cyberspace doors here. We're going to be ignoring them for now, but later on they're going to be tied to 2 achievements. And here's where we make use of that minecart from earlier. Since we pushed it from the left screen over here, we can use it as a platform to reach the other
top secret disc.
After that, it's just a matter of collecting the last couple of discs and coming face to face with the boss of the mission. Blizzard may not be super stylish yet, but you'll get to see a little bit of the combo system in action now. I don't think I've explained it, so I guess this is a good time for a lesson. Now, this may not be 100% accurate, but I'm going to try my best to explain here. So take Zero's basic 1, 2, 3 combo with his Z-Saber, for example. If we give each slash its own action value, the first slash being 1, the second slash being 2, and so on, any attack that's a value of 2 can be comboed after any attack that is a 1, and so on. At least that's how I interpret it. Regardless, it means we can combine things like Zero's heavy slash, which would have a value of 1, into a triple slash followed by a downward slash. And combos are only going to get more complex from here when we introduce the rest of the moves Zero's going to be getting from bosses. Our buddy Flizard doesn't seem to enjoy the demonstration, but he was kind enough to leave us behind the flame chip and the burst shot. These won't be that useful for a while, but they're nice to have. You know, I didn't exactly explain why we went there, but basically there was a missile being built, and while we didn't destroy it, construction's now delayed. Anyways, we go ahead and toss on the fire chip and then equip our second Cyber Elf. Feels so good to say that. This one is Slope. He drops energy for us. Again, not great, but could have used you in Zero too, but no. For now though, we're gonna head off to one of my favorite stages, mostly because of the music. The operators tell us that this is a residential area where the Dark Elf's been spotted, but for some reason they can't scan it, so we need to explore firsthand. Simple enough. Now, before I even talk about this, can we take a second to just appreciate this OST? I don't know if it's just me, but man, I love this track. After a bit of disc collecting, we'll reach the midpoint of this mission and find the baby elves all alone. They want their mom because, well, they're babies, but eventually they both decide, well, mom's not here. Let's look a bit further in, and they head off. Zell's all like, hey Zero, how about you protect those baby elves? And Zero's like, yeah, I got you. A bit further in, we get to the mini-boss, and this guy reminds me a lot of that one mini-boss from X3. You know the one. I think it's in Tunnel Rhino's stage. But anyways, we take it down using safe strats and can eventually keep moving ahead. We're going to make a quick pit stop here to grab an E-tank or sub-tank or whatever you want to call it. I think sub-tank's correct, but you know. I want to briefly mention that I would have never found this room without guided help. Gotta love the old fake wall trick to hide collectibles. Just a couple more discs to go for the stage, and we're zooming pretty quickly on the discs. I mean, there's way more of them, but routing them this way was actually kind of fun. Up at the boss room, we listen from behind the door at our next boss talking to the baby elves. They say he smells like their mom, which has weird implications, but he wonders if they're even useful just being babies. Zero steps in and does his best cop impression and tells Mantis to hand over the elves and back away slowly. The baby elves remark that we're the ones who pushed their mom around, and yeah, I mean, I won't deny how awesome I was when I kicked El Piso's ass, but now isn't the time for that. Mantis tells them to get the hell out of here, transforms into combat mode, and our fight begins. I'll admit, Mantisk is pretty cool, but at the end of the day, we're going to become the Shovel Knight and pogo off him for a beautiful finish. And for taking him down, we get some really good gear. The light body chip will make it so we can stand on crumbling platforms, but the real star of the show is the 1000 Slash, which is a skill for the recoil rod that we can use to further enhance our combo game. Also, thanks to the discs we've been picking up, we get the auto charge helm, which I'll definitely be making use of. All in all, a great selection. Before we can leave the residential area, however, we're going to take a look in the next room to find Dr. Weil and the baby elves. He tells them that he made their mom, so in a way, he's their grandfather. And you know, without context, that's almost as weird of a family tree as Loki's. Zero comes in after apparently standing in the boss room just, I don't know, existing, only to watch Dr. Weil and the baby elves teleport out to Neo Arcadia.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Sail says they can't follow, and we head back to base. Between missions, we got a few things to do, namely equipping our new skill for the recoil rod, then taking a quick pit stop at a couple of places in order to get a few more discs. One from this soldier in the watchtower, one just to the left of the second tower, one in room 30 of the base, one down first floor B, then to the right of that room we can get one from Little Man over here who quizzes us on some of the Reploid names in order to get it, then down the hall left to the first floor A for our next one. You know, just who is leaving these things lying around anyways? Am I stealing?
Stop! You violated the law!
Nah, I'm Zero, it's fine. We get our next one from the repair room, I think, and then talk to the woman here who gives us a disc and says it's Andrew's. So, yeah, we're definitely stealing. Finally, we stop by the lab for one last secret disc, making our grand total 50. Very nice number to end on for now. Up next is the last of the 4 stages where we're told more Dark Elf readings have been spotted, so that's that. This mission, depending on frames, will have different enemy positions and stuff from what I found, so what I like to do is skip the cutscene here in order to set enemies to a certain pattern that I was able to practice and get used to. But even with all that, let me tell you, this mission is no cakewalk. Basically, the way this works is the boss will be moving through the level with you, and your goal is to beat him to the boss room. But while he can just bulldoze his way through the level, you have to rely on switches and things to progress. I remember this jump in particular absolutely shitting on me more times than one. As per usual though, we end up reaching the midpoint where we finally find the Dark Elf who calls out to Zero and then gets attacked by enemies causing her to retaliate. Now, this mini-boss can go fuck itself. The amount of times I got hit by this thing's absolutely abysmal hitbox, I can't even count. Seriously, Capcom, what the fuck is this? Once he's down though, we can proceed and get back to chasing down the boss of the stage. Getting these chips did put me in some pretty precarious positions, but we managed to squeak through without getting hit, so that's another point for me. This little man here doesn't really put up much of a fight at all, and this is one of the only bosses we don't see transform. At least not right now. With him, we'll make good use of our 1000 Slash with the recoil rod, along with some charge slashes from our Z Saber to absolutely shit on his health bar. This time we get the Ice Chip and the Throw Blade, which is one of my favorite Zero skills. On top of that, we get the Splash Jump Foot Chip from a disc, but it's absolutely garbage tier useless. When we get back to the base, Ciel's all like, Zero, I'm sorry that your slow ass wasn't fast enough to catch the Dark Elf. No, obviously she doesn't, but imagine.
Zero, I'm really sorry. Sorry that your slow ass wasn't fast enough. What the fuck was that?
We're told that we're looking into coordinates for a missile we'll need to stop, but for now it's break time. Zero may actually finally get a chance to take that nap he so desperately needs. However, we flash over to Neo Arcadia and take a look at what copyacts of Weil are doing, stopping by just in time to catch a glimpse of Dr. Weil not only finding the location of the Dark Elf, but Harbuya and the other Guardians basically being fired by copyacts and Dr. Weil being promoted to head of military.
You're fired.
Now, I know copyacts has been sort of reprogrammed, but man, imagine firing your own children and then being like, I prefer the genocidal maniac. When we go back to the Resistance, we get this weird, red, flashy light. Oh wait, yeah, the missile we mentioned earlier is being launched, and it looks like Omega's on board. Without much thought of safety or anything like that, Zero springs into action, being the badass that he is, and suddenly we're into the intermission level of 03. Well, one of them. We're going to be spending some time here making use of the auto-charge helm we got earlier, which, as the name implies, will auto-charge our weapons. Look, if you needed that explanation, then I think you have more things to be concerned about. Like in all other missions thus far, we do have discs to collect here, and you know, this is one of the first missions in the Zero games where I'm not actively sure what to say about it. It's a cool set piece, but the mission itself is pretty straightforward without much to get in Zero's way. Eventually, we make it to the missile, and instead of letting it launch, Zero mounts that shit like a horse. Determined to stop both it and Omega in one swoop. We rush inside to try and stop it from hitting, and CL, as per usual, begs Zero to stop being stupid and think for once, but since when has Zero ever listened to orders? I actually end up using the Buster Shot quite a bit in this area because it makes the easy work of the enemies in this section. Once fully inside, we encounter not Omega, but the baby elves. They talk shit to us.
You're ugly, you're disgusting, I'm gonna kill you, give me $200.
Zero gets mad, offended, and we're forced to take them down. Lucky for us, it's a pretty easy fight. Only took one try. We can hit them with a charge slash, then the 1000 slash, followed by a downward stab, and it does some fairly sizable damage. Eventually, Crea and Prea combine, but at this point we can just hug the right wall to avoid damage, and then heavy slash when we have an opening. With one last down thrust, we end the fight, and the elves yell at us some more. They then inform us that even though they lost, the missile will touch down soon. Zero hits us with that "gotta go." And we get flashbanged.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
With an S rank under our belts, we now see where the missile was even aimed. Zero wakes up only to see the baby elves, Dark Elf, and Omega, who goes ahead and absorbs the Dark Elf and gets this gorgeous new color scheme.
Yes, Queen!
The baby elves are like, "Hey Omega, can you rip Zero a new one? You know, if you don't mind." But once again, here comes our savior, Mr. Harpuya himself. After seeing the destruction Dr. Weil is willing to go through in order to find the Dark Elf, wiping out a huge residential area of Neo Arcadia, Harpuya fights back. But unlike the first time, all he gets in return is taken down by this golden new beast of a form. Zero rushes in to save him, and the two transfer back to Resistance HQ. CL is like, "Zero, don't you ever do that again."
Are you high or just incredibly stupid?
But suddenly, we get a call from Neo Arcadia. CopyX gives us his whole spiel. Give up, blah blah blah, we have the Dark Elf, blah blah blah. I like men, blah blah blah. They tell us to hand over the CL system and we let them know they have the wrong number and hang that shit up.
I think you've got the wrong number, pal.
I go ahead and equip the Cyber Elf Pitapa here, who can stop enemies, which is very handy. And we get our new set of bosses, and wow, these guys look kind of familiar.
Wait a minute!
Necromancess, Hanumachine, and Staggroff have all been upgraded a bit. We choose to go for Staggroff first, and we're sent off to the northeast tundra to stop construction on a frontline base. Now the whole reason I went for this stage first is because we need to pick up a Cyber Elf here that I really want to use. But other than that, I don't even remember this stage all too well. Well, besides just how awesome the movement with the recoil rod is. So I suppose let's just count all the discs and get through it. Eventually, we reach the boss room, and unlike in 0-1, we can't just shield boomerang this man to death here. Honestly, I'm determined to somehow shoehorn this clip into every single Zero video. Now, even though we don't have the shield boomerang trick anymore, we do have combos, and we can make fairly quick work of this big bitch before he can even say wintertime. We S-rank it, and we get the skill Blizzard Arrow, which we won't be using, probably. I use some of the E-crystals I've been hoarding in order to raise Malthus' level to max, and then we equip him. Now this little hacker elf here lets us do Zero's spin attack like in previous games, and we even take on the color from the active form in 0-2. Now I'm going for Hanumachine, who probably has my favorite boss fight in 0-3, for the regular bosses at least. It's just a really cool showcase of Zero's new combos. We're told we need to intercept some Neo-Arcadian forces if you're curious as to why we're coming here, but for now, we get disc hunting to do. Now this area may look familiar if you know 0-2, slightly different, but very similar to the two forest missions in that game. We grab ourselves the second sub-tank here in this mission, but as per usual, it means nothing to our damageless selves. Now, I'm gonna shut up because I would love if you guys took a quick look at how cool this upcoming boss fight is.
Hey, what happened?
Skill issue.
God, I love that fight. It's just so good. We S-rank that bad boy and get the auto recover and split heavens, which is one of the better comboing skills in the game. We're going to take a second to talk to Andrew at Resistance HQ, and when we finish answering his quiz, we get a disc. We also stop by room 20 and talk to the soldier here for another one by answering his quiz, and then we can stop by Hybo, who's actually gone on a diet in 03 and lets us know he's working hard. Proud of you, buddy. One more disc in the hallway, then CL's lab for another, plus we encounter Alouette, who you should probably keep in mind if you're into the series lore, as she'll be a very important figure in the future. Be nice to the little girl and tell her that Green Pre remember her for another disc, and that makes a grand total of 96. Now, before our next mission, I level up Clockle to turn him from a fusion elf to a satellite, and he's going to be speeding up our charge time, so now we have 2 elves that actually are just really good. Finally, Neo Arcadia is moving through the desert, and we need to intercept and destroy. I suggest using the foot parts here that let you stand on crumbling terrain during this mission, because they'll allow you to avoid the quicksand entirely. Also, while I got you here, there are enemies that'll jump out of the sand, and they kind of prevent us from going extra fast. Not to mention Necromancess floating ass won't let us do any too crazy of combos, so this stage is very slow. So to save us both some time, we're just going to zoom through this one. After that nice slow stage, we get to Necromancess and kill him the same way we did in 01. Charge spam. Though this time we can do spinning slashes after the charge slash for a bit of extra damage. Once the old man's taken care of, we claim another S rank for our Reploid service record. Taking down Anubis, we get the shield sweep, and while it is a cool skill, it is for the shield boomerang, so we won't be seeing it. Now we can take on the second intermission mission. I guess I don't need to say mission after intermission, do I? Anyways, it's time for Copy X. We dealt with him in 01 and we can do it again. The stage though, I'm not the best at this stage in particular, but we make do. I seriously want to know who the internal designers of Neo Arcadia were, because I genuinely can't fathom why there's so many spikes in this place. Did some serial killer design it? Copy X hired contractors and he was like, alright guys, go nuts. And the contractors were just like, don't worry X, I got you. Ever thought of more death traps? Like, I understand the security lasers and stuff, but the spikes are just built in. Unless you can retract them or something, that's a real safety hazard. You think filing for workers' comp's a good idea? Or do you think the higher ups of Neo Arcadia would just say denied and kill you? Oh shit, we're at the end. Right. Copy X starts droning on about how in actuality we're the bad guys and the humans see him and Weil as the good guys. Bro really over here like, actually, Zero, you're the bad guy. But as per usual, Copy X proves he isn't the real X even now and decides to attack us instead of solving things peacefully. And just like in 01, he's a pushover. You can be comboed into oblivion if you play your cards right, though he doesn't stagger as bad as he once did. After the fight, Copy X gets on his knees for me.
Oh my.
He calls Dr. Weil to bring Omega in here to kill me, but the help never comes. Instead, the real X shows up and tells Copy that Dr. Weil has moved to a new base and that Copy was being used. Copy X throws a widow tantrum, and he tries to transform into his next form, only to be met with a trap that was set for him. Copy X dies here, but we get our S rank and some goodies, so who cares? We get the quick foot chip and the reflect laser. The quick foot chip simply making us run faster, which isn't really useful until we get the Ultima foot parts later on. On the other hand, the laser's pretty neat, though I don't remember making much use of it, if any. X gives us a quick rundown and lets us know that Weil kinda had this plan from the very beginning, the conniving ass hat. And as if on cue, Dr. Weil makes a serious announcement.
I come to make an announcement. Shadow the Hedgehog's a bitch-ass motherfucker. He pissed on my fucking wife. That's right. He took his hedgehog fucking...
No, but in all seriousness, this is actually a fairly importante scene. Dr. Weil announces that we absolutely slammed X from the top row, and now he's going to be taking over as leader of Neo-Arcadia in accordance with law, blah, blah, blah. Basically, he's saying that now he has control of the entire human and Reploid population who aren't outside this place. And as a genocidal maniac that he is, yeah, it's probably not a good thing. X does this thing that I fucking hate people doing, where he says something like, "Oh, Zero, I got something to tell you," and Zero's like, "What?" And X is like, "Never mind, I'll tell you later." Man, I hate that shit. Anyways, we have a bit of a serious moment with CL where Zero says that humans are living too comfortably, and CL says, yeah, they got plenty of food and comfort, so it's no surprise they don't bother paying attention to what's going on around them. And I mean, yeah, honestly, that's humans for you. Regardless, we now have our next 4 gentle judges to take down, those being Cubit Foxtar, Glacier Lacactank, Voltiel Biblio, and Tratista Kelvarian. We're going to be heading to the energy plant, which has been shut down since Weil appeared, which is a bit sus. And besides, I do love Cubit's design, probably my favorite of this second set of bosses. Now, to be honest with you, the stage itself is pretty long and kind of annoying because of the dumb enemies littered without. And in the interest of not having this video be like an hour, which I mean, we're about halfway to that time now, we're gonna speedrun this shit. Disc. 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 Disc again. Another disc. So many discs. Anyways, we're at the boss now. And you know what? For someone trying to kill us, she's kinda pretty? I don't know, I just like her design, okay? She lets us know that we weren't supposed to see this place. They're copying the Dark Elf, or in layman's terms, creating more baby elves. I wanted her pattern to be set, so I made sure to skip this cutscene to get a good pattern beforehand. Now, I personally don't think I did very good on this boss fight, but y'all can let me know what you think if you've seen the full video. But at the end of the day, we got the job done, and the S rank is ours. Foxtar gives us the best ability in the game, in my opinion, the double jump, along with the soul launcher, but that one really doesn't matter. We also get the frog chip to cling to walls, but again, not too important. CL wonders what they could have been doing with all those baby elves, but as Kanye would say,
I guess we'll never know.
Next up, the operators tell us that Neo-Arcadia has built a giant elevator, but we don't know what for. We just know that they're bringing something up, so Zero gets back to work. I seriously think y'all should consider giving my man a break. How long does this game canonically last? Days? Weeks? Has my man had an oil change? Anyways, this mission is actually one of my favorites. We make such good use of the double jump chip we got, and honestly guys, let me just show off a little here, just for a second, for those of you who won't see the full playthrough. God damn, I'm proud of this one. Now this stage, as the operators told us, is home to our... But if I'm being honest, this is one of the more enjoyable elevators in the franchise, in my personal opinion. Not because you can skip it or anything, but they provide you with a lot of enemies to keep your focus. Eventually, a mini-boss will come down that we can wreck for a disc, and we're almost done the mission. After a bit more platforming, we get to the boss, and to be honest, he's pretty intimidating, not even bothering to show us his judge form and instead just showing off. And honestly, he has good reason to. As much as I want to combo him into oblivion, the amount of times I tried to do so and got absolutely shit on is a lot, and it was enough to make me say fuck it and go full bonk strats here.
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
As per usual though, he goes down like a sack of bricks and gives us our S rank. But hey, the stage definitely made up for the boss fight. For beating him, we get the Absorber and the Gale attack. The Absorber gets us another achievement, but other than that, you can throw it away. The Gale attack though is a super awesome move that gives us a forward hitbox when we dash slash, so that just adds even more combo potential and will be huge when we take on Omega. Next, we're going to be going to one of the shorter stages in 03, with probably one of the easiest bosses to beat in my opinion. Also, can I just mention that CL says don't do anything dangerous right here? Like, lady, do you understand what we're fighting against? The stage itself is pretty neat because we get to ride this snowboard, hoverboard, bobsled. We ride this thing, and this is also one of the stages where we can put our buster to good use. By using the flame chip alongside it, we get this fire shot, which gives us a bit of extra damage. Once we get to the mini-boss, if you're also trying to go for 100%, then you gotta make sure to let him spit out a snowball, because otherwise you won't be getting this disc. And finally, on our way to the boss room, we can switch over to the recoil rod to punch the shit out of everything in our way. Anyways, with how easy this boss is, we should play that stupid-ass game people do on TikTok where I say, below or above 10 seconds, guys. No, but seriously, this guy won't take much time at all. Let's time it. Well, would you look at that? Below 10 seconds. Like I said, probably the easiest boss in the game. For beating him, we of course get our all-important S rank, along with the Spike Foot chip and the Orbit Shield, which just like our last Shield Boomerang skill, will remain unused. However, we did pick up the Quick Charge helmet part in disc form, so that will be useful to us. And hey, for once our mission went smoothly and it seems like the data we were sent here to retrieve is all able to be recovered, so let go us. Before we move into the next mission that I absolutely don't like, we're going to equip our new Cyber Elf Sabras, who gives +1 to our Z-Saber, which will be kinda handy. Finally, the last gentle judge we need to take down is inside an underwater library, and we're tasked with finding data on Omega. Like I mentioned, I'm not huge on this mission, never really enjoyed it because it's not something you can just map out inside your head, since the data collecting aspect of it will be randomized with each visit to the stage, and while the stage itself isn't exactly long, I do prefer to take my time here since the electric water can really ruin a run. As for the boss itself, I'm not a huge fan, and I think we're going to just use our new Quick Charge helmet to bonk him extra fast. This room here, as the operator tells us, is the data room, and this is where we get, well, the data, or rather we get a picture of 9 doors, and it's our job to memorize where the data is using these images. Can you see why I'm not a fan? After using my big brain to find the data not only on Omega, but the Dark Elf, Dr. Weil, and the L4s, the boss pops in to say hi. Luckily for us, we did get the best room to fight him in. Brainiac here transforms into his Volt-Eel Biblio form, which, by the way, Volt-Eel Biblio? Little on the nose there, Capcom. Regardless, thanks to our Quick Charge Ice Chip and the new Cyber Elf, he goes down fairly quick, even if he is a bit annoying.
Shut up, bitch!
We get our final S rank of the main stages, and for listening to his annoying ass, we get the Shadow Dash, which is a cool ability that lets us dash through enemies and stuff. And we get the V-Shot, which is a terrible name for an ability. Nothing inside the disc this time, so we move. When we get back to HQ, Ciel gives us the same old talk, her thanks, and lets us know that Harpuya's improved and we should go see him. When we arrive, Zero compliments him on already being able to stand. Harpuya asks why Zero rescued him in the first place and if he wants a favor, and Zero just gives him the old perhaps. Servo pops by and Harpuya continues to exude main character aura by talking about how much he still hates us and then promptly leaves. I mean, I can't really blame the guy after what he's been through, but a thanks for not letting me die would be nice. Zero gets called to the command room and Servo jokes about the same thing I've been saying this whole time. They really run you ragged, eh, Zero? But before we can go into our final mission, there is a couple of discs left in the base, particularly here, 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 and here. After that, we meet back up with Ciel and begin looking at the data we've been picking up. Time for a big ol' lore dump. In summary, after the events of Mega Man X, the Elf Wars happened. The Dark Elf and Baby Elves were used to amplify Reploid power, but at the cost of their free will. And the war resulted in the most recorded deaths in history. 90% of Reploids were killed, and 60% of humans. Ciel begins to speculate on some things when suddenly our operators begin praising Dr. Weil and laughing maniacally. Suddenly, Dr. Weil begins speaking and lets us know that through Omega, the Dark Elf, and the Baby Elves, he now has control of every single Reploid on the planet. Holy fuck. Bro really took a look at Dr. Wily and Sigma and was like, nah, y'all didn't try hard enough, let me fix that. Suddenly, our own soldiers point their weapons at Ciel and Zero, but X comes in just in time to save the day. Fashionably late as always. He knocks them unconscious and frees our operators and the rest of the base from Weil's influence, and Zero knows it's time to face the music and heads out. This stage has to be one of my favorites, and we're about to get a couple of achievements too. After farming this guy for a disc, we're finally going to be stopping in cyberspace, which gets us the achievement Cyber Diver. Now in cyberspace, we get access to every single elf in the game. You'll notice the health bar being a bit bigger than usual. But we've come for one very important reason. If you enter cyberspace in this particular stage, a portal opens up and inside we can meet our old friend Phantom. fight goes about how you'd expect, and for our troubles we get the achievement Fated Rematch along with Phantom finally admitting that he respects Zero. But of course, our true prize is the Ultima foot parts, which gives Zero the powers of every single foot part in the entire game all at once. That's the increased speed of the quick parts, the invincibility of the Shadow Dash, the slow descent from the Frog Chip, the power to stand on any terrain from the Light Chip, the useless ability to jump on water from the Splash Jump Chip, the ability to not slide on icy surfaces from the Spike Chip, and the all-important Double Jump Chip. And honestly, this makes it all worth it. After all of that, we come face to face with Weil and he begins his circle of yap.
Two very boring minutes later. A little longer than a few minutes later.
Would you please shut the hell up?
Eventually, after his first of many monologues, Weil leaves and we have a do-over fight with the baby elves. This is basically the same fight as before, so just like we did the first time, we take him down. The elves go poof, and we're off. But of course, we can't forget the ever-important S rank. Upon our return, CL informs us that X just gave us some more coordinates, so you know what that means. Out we go. Now, I don't want to say too much and interrupt Zero being cool as shit, so how about a montage of the final level before we take on the best final boss in any Mega Man game? Oh yeah, I'm going that far. During that little montage, a couple of things did happen. Number one, we got 180 discs. Woohoo, go me. But more importantly, we snagged another achievement. Try growing that back for cutting off Flizard's tail during the fight, which I didn't do the first time, but hey, we got it now. And with that, here we are. Dr. Weil monologues for a bit, but the important details are as follows. A. Dr. Weil is fully human. When he was driven out of Neo Arcadia and banished alongside Omega, they gave him a regenerative suit. Ain't worse than death kind of thing. Which, by the way guys, in hindsight, yeah, stupid ass idea. B, to Zero, human or not, Weil is a maverick, and as a hunter, he needs to dispose of him. We're beginning to see Zero finally start to have resolve, but that resolve will be tested sooner than he'd think. Omega arrives, and it's time to put Zero's power to the test. We beat Omega's first phase in less time than it takes my toaster to pop, and once again the old man chimes in. He says we're stronger than expected, but the Dark Elf will be making sure that the next part of this fight goes a bit less smoothly for us. second phase went about as smoothly as we could hope for, and with that, the game's over, right? Of course not silly. This wouldn't be my favorite in the series if it ended like that. As Zero crashes down to Earth with Omega in tow, we arrive at the place where Zero first woke up, so long ago. Hey, that rhymed. Weil claims that our power is quite extraordinary for a mere fake, but before Zero can even contemplate what he's talking about, Omega arrives sporting a new look. When I say seeing this scene for the first time gave me goosebumps, I'm not even kidding. We find out that Omega is the quote-unquote real Zero, and the character we've been playing as this whole time is nothing more than a reproduction. Zero, shaken but undeterred, grips his Z-Saber one more time for the last and final battle of 03. And with that final fight over, my journey through 03 is complete. We end off with our S rank like always and get this awesome ending to cap off Zero's journey of self-discovery. The Dark Elf releases from Omega's body and attempts to reactivate him, which Zero tries and fails to stop. And when all hope seems lost, who else would arrive but the 3 Guardians to aid Zero in his time of need? The Dark Elf begins to revert back to the Mother Elf as X shows up and explains that the curse is fading. Just like he always is, X is now here by Zero's side and helps him realize just what he's fighting for.
What am I fighting for?
Your current body may be a copy, but your heart is the real thing. Weil pleads with Zero to think about this, but Zero knows what a real badass would do in this situation. X lets Zero know his power is finally fading and he can't stay here anymore. The protection of everything is left to Zero. As Zero awakens back at headquarters surrounded by his new family, the Resistance, Ciel finally breathing a sigh of relief that her hero is okay. The Mother Elf shows up and Servo lets us know that she was actually the one to bring us back here. And of course, we can't forget the look up in the distance that most Mega Man X games give us as Zero can finally look forward and say, I am Zero. As we get our last and final achievement, so ends Mega Man 03. Now before you click off the video, I just want to give a huge heartfelt thanks to all the new subs that I've gotten through my Mega Man 01 and 2 videos, and I hope this one comes off just as well, if not better. You all make me feel hella blessed. But with that being said, if you have enjoyed this video, then please do hit that like button, helps out a ton. Leave any questions, qualms, queries, or concerns down in the comments below, and subscribe to come on any future journeys with me. Hit that notification bell to stay notified, and I do hope to see you in Mega Man 04. Bye-bye.